Well, hello, first-time home buyers. I'm Chris, your real estate problem solver. In this video, now that we've got your finances taken care of and you've gotten pre-approved for a loan, it's time to look for a house that you want. So we're going to go through a few different properties and look at the ins and outs and the ups and downs of each of these properties, and cover a few things that you might not have thought about, like HOAs, how much it's going to cost to maintain the house. Bigger is not always better. So come on and let's take a look at a few of the houses and look at some of the points that you might want to think about before you make a final decision on which house you want. So houses like these that are in the 2,800 square foot to 3,500 square foot range, currently right now are running anywhere between $300,000 and $450,000. Now, the kind of house that you're getting with this is around here usually going to have about a third of an acre, maybe half or 3/4 of an acre. They're going to have at least two car garage, and most of them are going to be about 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses, possibly with a bonus room or an office, and a few extra little amenities like granite countertops, tile flooring, a little bit more extravagant back patio. This one that we're currently at on Harley Farm Drive has actually got a fireplace on the back patio. So these are going to be more expensive houses, but they're also going to lend itself to more of a maybe a business person, somebody's got a large family, maybe a multi-generational family. If you do a lot of teleworking and you need the space for a home office, something like this might be more your style. Of course, if you're an outdoorsy kind of person, or if you like being outside a lot, or like landscaping, like you get dirty, these small lots around here might not be what you're looking for. So these are all things that you might need to keep in mind when you're looking for a house. Also, another thing that you might want to think about is these larger houses, that are so beautiful in the brand new subdivision just been built. A lot of them also come with HOAs and some pretty strict covenants. So if you've got a family, or if you've got a tendency to be a little more footloose and fancy free, that might be another consideration you want to think about before signing on to a house in one of these newer neighborhoods. Now, one thing I did notice while we were over here at this house is the all-electric double water heater. So that's an amenity that some people might consider to be extremely valuable, because if you use a lot of water, there's 100 gallons right there that you've got hot and ready to go at the moment's notice. But keep in mind, with a bigger house, you've got bigger floor plan, you've got more square footage, you've got taller ceilings, which means you've got more lights, you've got more air conditioning, you've got more heating, you've got a higher electric bill. So that's something else you might want to keep in mind. Now, I know around Warner Robins, Kathleen, Bonaire, these got a lot of neighborhoods that have been built up over the last 5, 10, 15 years, and everybody seems to be wanting the newest and the greatest and the best. But don't discount some of these older, more established neighborhoods, because even though a house might be a little bit older than you would prefer, I personally prefer the older houses that have been lived in by somebody else. Number one, the older houses have had a chance to settle. All the bugs have gotten out of them. Not bugs literally, but if they have any electrical issues, if they have any drainage issues, if there's a bad design to the house, those things are going to come out in the first couple of years, and I like somebody else to live in it and take care of all those problems before I buy it and discover it for myself. So I actually like some of the older neighborhoods, because the older houses will have the decent square footage. They'll still have all the stuff that I want, but they will usually be at a little bit lower price. So don't discount the 15, 20, and 25-year-old houses like this neighborhood here that's mostly mid-80s and early 90s houses. So they've got the same, and a lot of these at the same price point actually have bigger lots, so you've got a little bit more backyard for the kids. So keep that in mind. Also, with these houses, the older houses, keep in mind, everybody that, like I said, wants the greatest and biggest and best, but keep in mind the house that you're buying, you're also going to have to maintain. So while it might be perfect for the beginning, if you stay in that 7, 8, 10 years, you're going to be looking at water heater replacements. You're going to be looking at broken granite countertops. You're going to be broken flooring, roof. All that stuff has to be maintained. So it might be better to go with a little more simplistic house, something like what you see behind me, where the roof replacement is going to be, $8,000 or $9,000 versus $14,000 or $15,000 for one of the bigger, newer houses. Okay, so always make sure to budget in the regular maintenance for a property before you sign on the dotted line. Now also, don't discount the fixer-uppers. A lot of people, well, actually most people, they want a house that's ready to move in. They don't have to do anything to it. They just want to turn the key, walk in, and that's it. But if you buy something that needs a little bit of work or a little bit of fix-up, a lot of times you can get them at a real good price. You can fix them up for yourself a lot cheaper than a contractor would, and you can end up with a whole lot of equity in that house by the time you're done. So don't discount the fixer-uppers. See, now there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking for the perfect house for you. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't like to mow grass, this obviously isn't the kind of house that you're going to want to buy. Now, another option that you might want to think about is also building your own house. Now, this one is actually on about 10 plus acres, and it was built in 2017. Well, no, 2016. But also the reason why it was built instead of buying was because the owners were watching the market. They saw that the building materials were kind of at a low spot, and the market in this area was actually starting to climb. So it was just as easy to build a house for actually less money than it would cost to buy the same comparable property, or the same comparable house on the same comparable property. So they actually ended up with a lot of equity once they built. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, which is what this video is geared towards, this may not be the way to go, because first-time home buyers, you haven't lived in a house, you haven't maintained a house, you haven't done anything to keep up a house. So this might not be the route you want to go. But if you do get a piece of property that's out on some land like this, where you don't have any HOAs, you don't have any covenants, that might be a real big selling point for you. So that's something else to keep in mind. Now, like I said, if you are financially conscious, economic conscious, or the houses in town just don't provide enough land, then you might want to consider a single wide, double wide, or even maybe a modular triple wide. When my wife and I got together, we actually started in a mobile home, kind of like this one here, double wide on 5 acres, and then we stepped up to found a place on 20 acres, and eventually just kind of grew up from there. So just because you decide to try a mobile home doesn't mean you have to stay in it. It just might have to be a step up, or a step to take to get to where you finally want to go. But this does provide a little bit of options, because even though it is a mobile home, the stigma of all that, but a lot of the mobile homes that they're making these days are actually pretty stout models. They're pretty tough, and they last a lot longer than the old models that everybody thinks about. And not to mention, the even though the prices have jumped up a lot in the last 10 years or so, they're still comparable to the same square footage that you would have in a stick-built house, to where this property, this house on 5 acres might be $140,000, $160,000. The same stick-built house on the same land would be upwards of 200, 2+. So, it might not be for you, but don't discount it. So one more thing you might want to think about is, do you actually want to be in downtown Warner Robins, or in the heart of Warner Robins and Bonaire? There's a lot of satellite towns around here, like Perry or Fort Valley or Hawkinsville or Cordele. that are got the small town community. They're not too far away. I haven't lived in Warner Robins in a long time. I usually commute from an outside satellite town. I'm in Hawkinsville, so you know, it's a community, it's a different atmosphere, so that might be something else you want to think of. So remember, the atmosphere you want to be in, what kind of life are you going to live? Are you going to be more outside? Are you going to be more inside? Are you have a outside jobs? Are you going to be teleworking a lot? How big of a house you want can depend on how big of a family you have, how much income you've got coming in from different family members. Also, how soon are you to retiring, or are you just starting your family? And who's going to be maintaining the house, and can you afford to maintain the house? So these are all little points to think about before you sign on the dotted line for your next house. So if you need any help, give me a call, 478-256-9877, and I'll talk to you on the next one.